room full today. How about that?
Heat's on.
So,
Coach, if you'll make just an opening general statement, and then we'll take some questions.
well, to me, the best news of the day is my friend and one of the best young coaches in the country is going to heal up and eventually be back coaching, and that's the best news of the day by far. And the second best news of the day is that he can be the GM and be upstairs and still be involved and help us game prep every time and get ready and win as many games as we can win and go out and be the Bearcats. So while it's a tough day in that he's going to have to wait till next year probably to coach from a daily standpoint of being in practice and on the sidelines, that's tough. None of us like that, but the good part of it is he can still be involved. He's going to be okay, and that makes me feel much, much better. I can tell you that.
Coach, would you share your thoughts on how upbeat he is?
Well, I've known the guy for a long time, and he and I come from the same background and mold. We've scrapped and fought for everything we've had our whole lives. We didn't have a silver spoon handed to us, and I think that's why you see him be as upbeat as he is. I mean, he's a smart guy, and he realizes, hey, I'm lucky that we caught this, and it could be far, far worse. And Coach is a guy, again, he came from humble beginnings, and so he's fought and scrapped his whole life, and that's his attitude. Hey, we'll overcome this. Whatever it is, we'll just overcome it. And when, Lord knows, when we took this program over, there was enough to overcome. I mean, the blows and hits we've taken along the way are unbelievable, starting with Hernell Hall. You guys don't even remember that. We had a 6'10" kid here who would have been an all Big East player. And the NCAA, because of some things, took his eligibility away from us over something really stupid. But we've had those hits all the way, and this is just one more hit for Mick, but he'll overcome it. And that's why I think he's so upbeat. He's used to fighting the fight, and you're going to see nothing less, from him. He's going to fight the fight.
How have the last three games here been for you? Have you felt maybe a little bit more comfortable with the role? Do you think the team has felt a little more comfortable with the overall situation?
Well, obviously the first game, in my mind, and hopefully when it comes NCAA tournament selection time, the NCAA will look at that game and say, look, guys, we can throw this game out because it's really not fair. And who knows if we'd have beaten them or not, if everything would have been fine, but because I don't want to take anything away from BCU, but, I certainly was someplace else, the guys were someplace else, and since then, it's become much easier. And Mick's been great. Mick's been, again, Mick's a smart guy, and he's been great in telling me, look, they've got to get used to your voice and the rest of the staff's voice. You don't need me in practice. They don't need to be looking over at me. They need to get used to you. You have to do it your way. Our philosophies are the same. Again, I've said this in other press conferences. I'll do some things a little different than he would probably. Anybody would in my position. But the baseline of who we are, how we do things, that's not going to change because we're on the same page. We always have been. So that part of it's easy. And the guys just have to get used to another voice. And Mick says all the time, it doesn't matter who's standing on that side. We got to implement what we implement. I'm just the tool that's implementing it now. But it has become easier. And my mindset has changed now. When you're an assistant, again, you're a suggester, and you can sit there and take your time on making a suggestion. You can watch a little bit. When you're the head coach, it's instantaneous. You got to make decisions one after another. And you have to flip that switch and get in that mindset. And then the other thing in practice is, they have to get used to your style a little bit and how you talk to them and that kind of stuff. And so that's gotten easier. That's gotten much easier.
Coach, have you, in looking at the medical condition of Coach Cronin and what you've been through now, have you thought yourself about, because Coach just talked about, how tough it is going to be for him to sit there and watch a game. He's got to watch his blood pressure and all that. We know all the coaches is a high pressure kind of situation. Have you thought about for your own self going forward about
Well,
maybe dialing down just a little bit in terms of when you get angry?
I think all coaches, you have to be within your personality, and all coaches face that. And let me say this, and I mean this sincerely, okay? This is not an easy situation, but guys, this isn't pressure. Having 3 kids working at McDonald's and being a single mother, that's pressure. Being a commander in Afghanistan in charge of 15 guys and trying to keep them alive, that's pressure. This is basketball. This is basketball. And as much as I want to win, and there ain't nobody in America that wants to win more than me and our staff and our players and Coach Cronin, okay, it's basketball. And we have to, I think if you keep that every day when you wake up, you got to remember that. Now, that doesn't mean you don't work your butt off. That don't mean you don't get upset. That doesn't mean any of that. But let's look at what really this is. Okay, and again, that doesn't mean it's not important. It's very important. It's very important to our university. It's very important to what we do. It's my livelihood. Okay, but I think you have to keep it in perspective that way. What this is, and as a head coach, you're going to get upset. I don't know that I worry about it. To answer your question, I don't know that I worry about it any more now than I ever have. I just do what you do, But I try to work out all the time, and so did Mick. I mean, you try to do everything you can to prevent as much of it or keep yourself in as best shape you can. And, I think about a guy like Rick Majerus, for example. I mean, how that guy coached as long as he did with the shape that he was in, it obviously eventually caught up with him. But, again, not to answer your question, I don't know that I think about it anymore. I just go do what I do.
Mick talked about the quality of the staff overall. How much does it help having a guy that's basically a second head coach with Darren, and then having Antoine as well, having guys that,
It's everything, guys. I mean, it's everything. Even Mark Berger. Mark Berger has been a head coach in junior college. So, I can't tell you, and I told the guys that the other day, in practice, I mean, there are not 2 better guys in the country at scouting, at player evaluation, and I've been doing this a long time. I've been around some really, really good staffs, guys. I've been on a staff that went to the Final Four. I've been staff went to the Final 16, Final 8. I've been around some successful people, and we've got as good a staff as there is. I'm just telling you. Darren's tremendous. Antoine's tremendous. Mark Berger, even the young guys, they work their butts off. I mean, down to our GA, Greg. I mean, that guy's knowledge of basketball for his age is off the chart. I'm telling you, off the chart. TJ, off the chart, because they come from basketball families. And when they are breaking down film or whatever they're doing, they're ahead of the curve of a lot of guys who are in their positions across the country. I can tell you that. And again, and they've been great. They've been great. We all know we're in it together. We're here as a team to get it done together. This is not about me. This is about Cincinnati basketball and winning for Cincinnati basketball. And a big part of it's not letting our friend down, Mick Cronin. He has a tough situation. We got to help win for him as well as win for Cincinnati and obviously our kids.
What's the outlook for tomorrow? Can you give us a rundown of what you're expecting, from SMU as you open conference play?
Well, I mean, SMU early in the year obviously was picked to be one of the top 20 teams in the country. Together, this is not about me. This is about Cincinnati basketball, and a friend down, Mick Cronin. He has a tough situation. We got to help win for him and obviously our kids.
What's the outlook for tomorrow? Can you give us a rundown of what you're expecting, from?
Well, I mean, SMU
SMU as you open conference play?
obviously was picked to be one of the top 20 teams in the country. Early in the year, out me. This is about together. This is not about Cincinnati basketball, and him as well as win for Cincinnati. He has a tough situation and obviously our kids. We got to help win for him.
Tomorrow, can you give us a rundown of what you're expecting, from? What's the outlook for tomorrow? SMU as you open conference play?
Well, I mean, SMU obviously was picked to be one of the early in the year top 20 teams in the country. Together, this is not about Cincinnati basketball. About me, this is about Cincinnati basketball and him as well as win for Cincinnati. He has a tough situation. He friend down, Mick Cronin. And we got to help win for that and obviously our kids.
Tomorrow, can you give us a rundown of what you're expecting, what's the outlook for tomorrow, SMU as you open conference play?
Well, I mean, SMU obviously was picked to be one of the, and a big part of it's not letting our top 20 teams in the country. Early in the year together. This is not about me. This is about Cincinnati basketball, and him as well as win for Cincinnati. He has a tough situation. Friend down, Mick Cronin. And we got to help win for that and obviously our kids.
What you're expecting, what's the outlook for tomorrow? Can you give us a rundown of what SMU as you open conference play?
Well, I mean, SMU obviously was picked to be one of the, and a big part of it's not letting our top 20 teams in the country. Early in the year together. This is not about me. This is about Cincinnati basketball, and he has a tough situation as well as win for Cincinnati. Friend down, Mick Cronin. And obviously our kids.
What you're expecting,
And we got to help win for him.
tomorrow, can you give us a rundown of what SMU as you open conference play? What's the outlook for tomorrow?
Obviously was picked to be one of the, and a big part of it's not letting our, well, I mean, SMU early in the year, top 20 teams in the country. About me. This is about Cincinnati basketball together. This is not about, Cincinnati basketball, and him as well as win for Cincinnati. Friend down, Mick Cronin. He has a tough situation.
What you're expecting,
And we got to help win for that and obviously our kids.
SMU as you open conference play. What's the outlook for tomorrow? Can you give us a rundown of what?
And a big part of it's not letting our, well, I mean, SMU early in the year, top 20 teams in the country. Obviously was picked to be one of the Cincinnati basketball together. This is not about me. This is about Cincinnati basketball, and he friend down, Mick Cronin, him as well as win for Cincinnati. He has a tough situation. And we got to help win for that and obviously our kids.
What you're expecting, what's the outlook for tomorrow? Can you give us a rundown of what SMU as you open conference play?
Well, I mean, SMU and a big part of it.